What's going on, guys? Welcome to my video. I gotta start off with saying what a week it was this week. Week 8 of college football had some surprises. I mean big surprises. You had Virginia beating North Carolina. Yes, Virginia out of all teams beat North Carolina. I would have never expected this. They're like 20 something point favorites. They came to the game, they're at home, they're 6-0, and they lost. Like, how in the world are you going to lose to 1-5 Virginia? North Carolina, Drake Maye didn't even have a terrible game. I mean, he didn't have a great game. He was 24 for 48, 347 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. They put up 27 points and still lost. Virginia put up 31. So I don't know if the offense was the problem in this game. I think it was just an all-around game where North Carolina just got completely outplayed by Virginia. I didn't watch the game, but looking at the box score, Virginia's quarterback was 20 for 30, 208 passing yards. He didn't have as many passing yards as North Carolina's quarterback had. North Carolina's quarterback had 347 pass yards. What a week it was for North Carolina. Everybody was hyping them up, finally giving them the recognition that they actually deserved. But now they're losing. What is going on? North Carolina, you do this every year. People think you're good, then you lose to a mediocre team. Should have known it was coming. If you check the team stats, which I'm doing right now, North Carolina outgained Virginia 490 to 436. I don't think their offense played terrible. I mean, they only scored 27 points, not enough to beat Virginia, but they gave up 436 points. We knew North Carolina's offense was legit. We knew they had a good offense. But when you give up 436 points to a trash Virginia team, I don't know what to say about you. That's not the only thing that happened this week. We had 2 close games in the top 10 in the Big 12. I might have overcomplicated that. I should have just said 2 close games for top teams in the Big 12. Oklahoma, 31-29. They beat UCF. I did watch a lot of that game. UCF, they really brought it to them. Their quarterback played really well. UCF had a chance to tie the game and take it into overtime, and they missed the 2-point conversion. They got a little flashy. They were flashy all game. They got out-coached for the most part, I'd say. UCF was bringing all the flashy plays. Usually it doesn't work, but they really got them with all the flashy plays, the trick plays. Good job for UCF. Had a good game, but Oklahoma slipped away. Texas, I was pissed on how this game ended. Texas, it was 31-24. It was within the last couple minutes of the game. Houston had the ball. It was like 4th and 1. Or it was 3rd and 1, not 4th and 1. It was 3rd and 1. The guy had a clear first down, and the refs cheated the shit out of Houston. At home, Houston had a chance to tie the game. I've never seen that bad of a call this season. I'd say this season because there's probably been terrible calls before, but that call was horrific. It was so bad. Houston had a chance to take it into overtime. Or who knows, they could have went for 2 and won the game. But Houston was right there with Texas. And imagine what would have happened if they didn't make that terrible call. Would Texas be 6-2 right now? No, I'm not going to debate it. A lot of people might be saying, oh, Texas still won. A win's a win. But when's the point where Texas is going to slip up? Because they had that game against Wyoming at the start of the season where it was 10-10 going into the 4th quarter. They lost to Oklahoma. I mean, they did beat Kansas pretty well, and Baylor. But they got a couple tough games left. They got BYU, Kansas State, TCU, Iowa State, Texas Tech. The last 2, I wouldn't say are so tough. Texas Tech's always kind of tough, but Texas should be able to go 11-1. But I would not be surprised if they slip up and go 10-2. And Kansas State's not out of it. They only have 2 Big 12 losses. If Kansas State somehow wins out and beats Texas, Kansas State would make it over Texas. Now, on the other hand, Oklahoma, they also are not guaranteed to win out. A lot of people think that Oklahoma and Texas are going to win out because the Big 12 doesn't have any big ranked teams like some of these other conferences are. Like some of these other conferences do have. But, I mean, the Big 12, it has some tough teams. It really does. None of them may not be ranked, but all of them play each other close for the most part. Not counting the last couple of weeks, there's a couple blowout games, which shocked us. Like BYU, they blew out or TCU, they blew out BYU 44-11, and then BYU, they come back and they win. Let me check real quick. BYU, like, they blew out a team this week. BYU, where's BYU? They were beating Texas Tech 27-7. They didn't blow them out. It was 27-14, but like, they come back after getting blown out by TCU and do that. Kansas State, they played this week. Kansas State in the Big 12. They played TCU. That's the game I was thinking about. Kansas State beat TCU 41-3. After TCU beat BYU 44-11. Like, what is going on in the Big 12? Because Kansas State, they're not nothing special. I mean, they're a good team, but they're not nothing crazy. They lost to Oklahoma State like a week or two ago. They lost to Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago. They beat Texas Tech last week, bounce back win. They beat TCU. They're definitely still alive in the Big 12 because they have 4 games that are very winnable outside of the game against Texas. Well, Texas is definitely winnable, but like really winnable games. They're going to be favorites in probably 3 of them. The one against Kansas will be kind of a flip-flop, but Kansas State, right now, they have a chance to win out. They're 16.5-point favorites at home against Houston this weekend. So we'll have to see what they can do, because Kansas State's not to be messed around with Texas and Oklahoma. I don't know if they both play them, but if they run into Kansas State, it's not a guaranteed win. On to the next shocker. Something this game, like, how Washington, like, how they beat Arizona State 15-7. If anybody guessed the score of this game, they should literally just win $1 million, because I doubt anybody guessed this game would be 15-7. Who in the world guessed this game would be 15-7? Washington, I don't know what was going on with them. Michael Penix Jr. had an off game. He had 3 turnovers, I think, in the first half. 3 turnovers in the first half. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble lost. And then it's like, they didn't score until the fourth quarter. A touchdown. They didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter. It was 7-3 going into the fourth quarter. People were very underwhelmed in Washington. It's like there was no atmosphere there. It just felt like nothing. I think Washington got too confident from that win against Oregon. They came to this game way too confident, and it was a different atmosphere. I mean, playing at night, they've had a couple night games. They haven't played the best at night. They almost lost to Arizona, though that game wasn't as bad as this game. I didn't think they played completely terrible in that game, but they only won that game by a touchdown. But at least they did score 30 in that game. But scoring 15 points. This is a team that was being compared to 2019 LSU. But I think anybody who's saying that needs to take that back. Unless Washington bounced back and dropped like 50 points the next 5 games, we could call this game a fluke. I still think Washington, they have a big shot at making the playoffs. But, question marks for this team. Question marks. Utah beat USC. I was kind of flip-flopping on this game. I didn't know who was going to win. I figured it would be close. It was a bad defense versus a bad offense. It's just how it was. And the bad offense won. Well, I got to give the quarterback for Utah credit. And that whole offense, they've improved. Like, I watched them play against California. They looked way better playing against California than they did any other teams this season. California might not be as good as their other competition, but it's the only game they scored 30 points outside of their FCS win against Weber State. Yes, Weber State. They played Weber State. But Utah, they scored 31 against Cal. They ran the ball really well. And then this week, they had over 400 yards on USC. Like, USC, like, Lincoln Riley, what are you doing? My guy, you need to fix your defense. You need to fix yourself as a coach, because you're not doing it. USC was supposed to be national title contenders. I don't know if I want to go that far, but they're playoff contenders coming into the season. A lot of people had them in the playoffs. But that ain't even happening anymore. And they might even not make the Pac-12 championship. It's not looking like it, because they're 6-2. They have 1 loss in the Pac-12. And guess what? They still haven't played Washington or Oregon, the 2 best teams in the Pac-12. So we'll have to see what happens with Utah and USC, because Utah, I feel like they're not getting enough recognition because they've kind of been hiding all year. They've been winning close games. Their offense has done nothing, but their defense is keeping them in it. And their offense, if it can improve, which it has been, but get a big improvement, they might be able to make the Pac-12 championship. What if they can beat Oregon? What if they can beat Washington? Is there a chance they can make it in and go back to back to back in the Pac-12 for winning the Pac-12 championship? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. On to another game. I know I'm kind of flip-flopping like different times. I kind of went from like the earlier games to the night games, so I'm going back to like the evening games, like before night. Depending on where you are, I mean, East Coast, West Coast, different time zones. I mean, if you're out of the U.S., different time zones. But Duke, Florida State. Duke was winning that game 20-17 going into the fourth quarter. Duke was doing pretty good, but then Riley Leonard got hurt and everything started to go downhill. I think Florida State had a 4-point lead after Riley Leonard got hurt. But if Riley Leonard didn't get hurt, would Duke would have won that game? It definitely would have not been a 3-touchdown score. I wouldn't say that. Duke would have covered. I felt bad for people who chose Duke to cover because it was looking 100% like there's no way Florida State was going to cover going into the fourth quarter. And then Riley Leonard gets hurt, and Florida State wins the game. They don't just win it, they win it by 18. This Florida State team, I seen a comment earlier. I was just scrolling through comments. I don't agree with this comment, but I mean, I kind of get what they're saying. Somebody said this team is just the same team as TCU was last year. Just play nobody all year, go undefeated, but that's not really the case because they did play Clemson and LSU, and they won those games. They were both close. Well, LSU was close in the first half, but they took that away. But Clemson was close. Boston College, they won that game only by 2. So that game wasn't easy. It should have been. Virginia Tech, they got trounced a little bit in that game. Syracuse is the only game that they've looked really dominant this year. Like, no mistakes. I'm not gonna say that LSU game they looked dominant because it was close at half. And it was the first game of the season. I mean, it's hard to say. Southern Miss, they did dominate Southern Miss. But I'm talking about an ACC play. That's the only game they've looked dominant is against Syracuse. I just feel like there's question marks with this team, but I don't think they're TCU level of last year. I still think Florida State has a lot of talent, and their positives outweigh their negatives. They have some negatives on their team, but I still think on the offensive side they're really good, and on the defensive side they can hold their own. I think they will be in the playoffs, or they have a big chance of making the playoffs. I think that's kind of wrapping it up. I know we had Tennessee, Alabama. Alabama won that game 27-0 in the second half. It's a really good week of college football. I'm going to start doing different schedules, different videos, because I want to post more. And my videos, the last videos I did were really long, and I haven't really been consistent. But I love talking about college football. Hope you guys like hearing me talking about college football. Keep you up to date on whatever. Just entertain you guys. I'm here to do that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like, comment. And bye, guys.